Is Hex dead? A lot of people have asked about my opinion on Hex and where I think the price is going. So we're going to go over the USD pair, and we're also going to go over the Ethereum pair as well and determine where Hex price might end up going. Before we do so, we're going to hop back onto the website. Hex is still giving 38% returns a year. It was the first blockchain CD, certificate of deposit, and the longer you stake it, the more rewards you will get. So you're incentivized to stake it as long as possible, and up to 15 years you can actually stake Hex. I personally don't think the move is staking it. I don't think locking it up for long term is the move. Right now you'd be looking for a solid cheap price to buy and potentially selling it around the Pulsechain launch if it increases in price. It is very high risk, especially since it's gone down at least 90%. So they've put on their website the Hex price is up 10,000x so far. But if we take a look at where it's sitting from the all-time high, and I believe they measured that a 10,000x from the all-time low, so approximately 95% decrease. Any asset that hurts anybody, man. You didn't want to hold a 95% decrease in price. So it is 2 cents, 14 billion market cap, 583 billion circulating Hex, and 63 billion staked Hex. So approximately over 10% being staked right now of their circulating supply, which is kind of weak. I've seen other protocols and platforms with like 60, maybe 50, 60, 70% of their total circulating supply being staked. So 10% is kind of low. It is a bear market. And then 6.7 years for the average stake length. If we take a look at the pricing, we're going to do the USDC pair first. But actually, Richard Hart tweeted today, and this is a Pulsechain update. And I'm excited for Pulsechain because we invested in it. And I think that Richard Hart knows what he's doing with structuring Pumponomics. He knows how to get people rich. He knows how to pump his token. And I am excited for it. So he says, Pulsechain update. Working on mods to Lighthouse prerequisite for Beacon Chain Explorer, similar to what was done to make Prismark with our larger integers, which don't fit in the standard unit slots. Also more AMM fix. Unless you're a dev, it's all gibberish. And I got some opinions from people, and they're pretty much saying that it sounds like Pulsechain is almost ready to ship. All the stuff you just mentioned is what you do at the end to make sure everything's running, just to polish it and make sure, you know, everything's good to go. So hopefully, I mean, Christmas would be an early present, but maybe early next year. It's hard to say. We've already waited almost a year plus, so it doesn't matter how long we wait, especially since it'll be in a bear market more than likely. So it wouldn't be a bad time for it to launch and kind of like gain traction, let people accumulate, and then explode when the next bull market comes. So let's jump into the Hex USD pricing. We're on the weekly right now, and this like broke down very friggin' nicely. I wasn't watching Hex, but like look at this breakdown below here. Come to retest the moving average and this prior support turned resistance, and then a huge dump. But let's take a look at the current price right now. We're trading at 2.5 cents. We're in some sort of descending triangle where we're holding. I mean, we just broke below, but we can give it a few more days or a few weeks because this week ends in 5 days, the weekly candle. But if you take a look, we have been hitting this support right here, and now we're just trading a little bit under it, but we're creating lower highs, so it's a clear descending triangle or a continuation move to the downside. And what I've done is I went on the line chart to find some huge areas of influence. As you can see right here, I had the monthly right here, and then I used the weekly for this point as well. I personally think that if we break down, which is more than likely given the market, the sentiment of the whole market, and it's not just Hex breaking down. Let me go back to the weekly. Every coin's getting slaughtered. It's just how bad are they getting slaughtered and how low are they going to drop. So I'm taking a look at this against the USD pair. So if we continue to break down, I will show you my Fibonacci, which if I take it from this target, this lower high, and I use this area right here as the lower low, you can see that we pumped into the 38.2 retracement, and that was perfect where we put our trend line, and our extension is approximately 0.16, so about 1.5 cents, and that's perfectly in the middle of my supports between 1.8 and 1.4. So what I'm looking for is something like this. Maybe we come back and retest the support right here, and then we come down into this area. Now this area would be a decent buying zone. We have huge monthly and weekly support here. So that's an area I could look to be buying. And then, I mean, depending on the news of Pulsechain, so that should be green. Depending on the price action here, let me go back to my brush. And depending on if there's any more updates on Pulsechain, maybe we kind of consolidate or go through an accumulation phase, a block, whatever you want to call it, and then we bounce back up into here. And that would be just a quick trade. I'm not looking to accumulate HEX. I'm not looking to stake it for 15 years. And my reasoning is because I think when the Pulsechain comes and Pulsex as well, I think all eyes will be on that. I think people will be more focused on Pulsechain making new highs, more focused on Pulsex making new highs. If you look at 2017, I think it was like majority of those Dino coins never hit all-time highs. And you look at some of the highest producing or the coins that have done the best in 2017 and 18, they don't recreate that run. So if this did 10,000x right here, I don't think it's going to do another 10,000x. More than likely it won't. Maybe Pulsechain will, maybe Pulsex will, or maybe another token on the Pulsechain network will do some crazy gains. And I believe a lot of coins on the Pulsechain network will do well in a bull market because there's new coins, new ideas, and there's just fresh holders without holding so much baggage of Hex coin that's maybe going to be unstaked, or maybe they've held from the bottom to the top, down to the bottom, looking for a place to unload their coins on newcomers. So with new coins, there's new opportunities. So I'm actually I'm really excited for Pulsechain. I'm hoping that does extremely well, and I think that Hex will be influenced by Pulsechain in the terms of like, if Pulsechain gets released, I think Hex is gonna pump. Everybody's gonna ape into Hex or PHEX. I'm not sure the correlation between them because it's getting airdropped. So if you have, a million Hex, now you have a million PHEX, what's it going to be worth? Until that spread is closed and they're equal priced on both networks, unless that just never happens. So I personally think that this is going to break down to the 0.4 to the 0.8 range, and we have such a huge support here that I think we'll see a bounce. Unless we just dive right through, I don't think that is going to happen. So if we clear all drawings, we measure from here down to the 0.18, 28%, and all the way down to the bottom of 0.148, about a 40% drop, which is still very possible. I mean, it could go a lot lower. Who knows? Maybe Pulsechain doesn't work out. Maybe it's a complete fail, and then this shit just crashes. I know the Hexicans aren't going to like me saying that. Now we're against the Hex and the ETH pair, and this is important for people who are holding Hex and potentially can get into ETH and save some money so they can ape back into Hex if they want, or just totally exit. So this is the same type of chart where we have our ascending triangle with the bottom here, the bottom, support, and support right here, and we're making constant lower highs. You can see lower high, lower high, lower high, and what's a downtrend consist of? Lower lows and lower highs. And if I go back here as well, we haven't seen Hex like completely oversold on the RSI. It was close at 32, but you need to get under 30 to be oversold. And we haven't seen that on the ETH pair as well. If we go to the daily, we have seen that a few times, and it's bounced back pretty much every time. So if you waited for the weekly to be oversold and you wait for some like bullish candlestick variations, or you look for some pattern that you think it's going to go to the upside, and then you hit the buy, or like EMA crossovers, whatever it may be. So you're not just randomly aping into the token. And then here, same thing. This hasn't been oversold one time on the Ethereum on the weekly against the Ethereum pair on the weekly. So it could be good to wait and get a deadly entry. So same thing here. I think that this is going to break down. Maybe we get another bounce right here, where it bounces up against this, tests this lower high, and then actually breaks down like this. And this one's a little bit of a further drop all the way down. Okay, 40%, it's the same thing. And you can see massive support here, support and resistance right here, 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 and even almost right here. So this would be a great buying spot. I think HEX clearly has some more room to fall. It exploded almost 10,000x, so it can drop 95%, then another 95%. It is very possible. We've seen coins, literally die in the last few weeks and months. HEX has a huge community. There's a ton of Hexicans. It's not going to go without a battle. I root for the underdogs as well. I'm a big fan of Pulsechain. Hopefully that's a successful network. Hopefully it does really well. And hopefully the Hexicans can like rub off their good luck onto the Pulsechain side, PulseX, and all that good stuff. But right now Hex isn't looking too great. It's in a descending triangle on both USD and ETH pair, and I think it's gonna break down, and you can just see like such a huge move to the upside. There's not much support for us to like fall into. This is where I see like a clear dive into, and then like maybe we actually peak right under and then get back up and go. Same thing here. Look at this huge candle to the upside, and markets fall 3 times quicker than climb up. So that could be one red candle, and this is clear support right here and right here as well. So those are kind of my price targets. I'll be watching closely. I'll either be shorting, or I'm more of a buy and hold type person. So if I can get a dive into here and see something like this, where I buy on the break, you see it breaks down, comes back up, retests this area, or if it does this, where it comes down here, breaks through that, and then retests that. That's where I'd be buying. Don't chase, wait for the retrace. So I just wanted to do a quick update on HEX. Most coins aren't looking too great. If you held your HEX bag, if you're staking 15 years, you went up 10,000x, you came down 95%. So more than likely, if you're staking for that long, or staking for 5-10 years, you're probably underwater. I'm not too sure how the T-shares work, so I'm not going to comment on that. I'm just strictly looking at the TA for HEX against USD and Ethereum. If you have any insight or any comments, any Hexican watching this or just wants to bash me, put that in the comments below. Also make sure to subscribe, because when Pulsechain comes, we're going to run it up. I'm a huge fan of getting onto new networks, getting into new coins early, getting into new meme coins on those networks, and just kind of riding the hype. And we will be reviewing a ton of new coins, new protocols, new projects on the Pulsechain when it releases. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.